Here's the second page of the review. So on this one, it's focused mostly on trigonometry. First part, it says that you can use the definitions of the trig functions to write the ratios. So writing the ratios is just part of the work that we do when we're finding angles or sides using the SOHCAHTOA. This one's just asking you to set up the ratio, set up the fraction, and then simplify it. So sine of A, if we're looking from A and we're supposed to have opposite over hypotenuse for sine, then opposite is 11, hypotenuse is 37. And 11 over 37 doesn't simplify. It stays 11 over 37. So literally, that's it. Done. That's a 7. When it says cosine of A, we're still looking from this angle. Cosine is adjacent over hypotenuse, so that'd be 30 over 37. And again, you could try to simplify it, but they don't have anything in common that you can divide by. So that's it. When it says tangent of A, you're still here. You're still at A. And tangent is opposite over adjacent. So opposite, 11 over adjacent, 30. You can't simplify that. They don't have anything in common. Then it says tangent of B. So now it says we're looking from this angle up here. And we're still doing opposite over adjacent. So from here, opposite would be 30 and 11 would be the adjacent. That's it. I told you guys skip number 9. So coming up here for number 10. These problems, you're using the standard SOHCAHTOA. I'm going to put it over here so I don't have to rewrite it. So if I want to know what this third angle is, if I know this is 90 and this is 37, 180 minus 90 minus 37, 53. That's going to be the one for the angle. For A over here, I've got this angle. I have this side. This is from 37 adjacent. And A over here would be opposite. Opposite and adjacent, we're at tangent. So for A, we're going to go tan 37 equals, opposite goes on top, adjacent goes down to the bottom. Since the A is on top, this is where we're going to multiply. So on the calculator, you're going to put 42 times the tangent of 37. 42 times tangent 37. 31.6. And remember, if you're using the Google calculator, don't forget to change it to degrees. So that means that this side over here is 31.6. On C, this is your hypotenuse. You don't want to use the side that you looked for. You want to use the original side. And with the original information, this is adjacent and hypotenuse, which is cosine. The angle is still 37. Adjacent is 42. Hypotenuse is C. This time we have the variable on the bottom. That means you're going to divide on this one. So it's going to be 42 divided by cosine 37. And if you're in the Google calculator, don't forget to be in degree. So that's 52.6. And that's using cosine, sine, cosine, and tangent, regular trigonometry. This problem is just another problem with regular trigonometry again. So from the 54, This is adjacent. The D all the way across is opposite. And the 43 across from the right angle, that's your hypotenuse. When you're looking for, let's say we do D first. D was over here with the opposite, and we have the hypotenuse, opposite and hypotenuse. That's sine. So for the first part, we're going to go sine 54 equals, and then the opposite's going to go on top, so that's D. And the hypotenuse goes down to the bottom. It's on top, we're going to multiply it. 43 times sine 54. 34.8. Make sure you're in degree. Can't stress that enough. If you're using that Google calculator, make sure you're in degree. And then for E up here, that was adjacent, and we still have a hypotenuse. So adjacent and hypotenuse is cosine. Angle still goes next to it. Adjacent goes on top. Hypotenuse goes down to the bottom. Now we have the variable on top, just like the last one. So in this one, we're still multiplying. 43 times cos 54. Just gonna go like that. 25.3. And if you look at the answers, if the hypotenuse is 43, this side being 25.3 is reasonable because it's, you know, smaller than 43, but it's not super tiny. And then over here, D, oh my bad, this side, 34.8, that's reasonable. It's smaller than the 43. If I would have come out with like 52, then that's not reasonable. Hypotenuse has to be the biggest side. And the last one on this page says you can use inverse trigonometry. So this is where we're going to use the inverse, but it's still using SOHCAHTOA. And you guys already have it on top of the page, but I'm putting it again here so you can see it. If I'm looking from X, 32 is my opposite, 41 is definitely the hypotenuse. So if it's opposite and hypotenuse, we're going to be using sine. But we're looking for an angle, so it's going to be the inverse sine. We can go directly to putting a fraction inside. Opposite's still going to go to the top, so the 32 is going to come up here. And the hypotenuse is going to go to the bottom. So the 41 goes down there. And that's what you put in your calculator. So it'd be inverse sine. On the Google calculator, there's an inverse button. And it'll say arc sine up here. Then you put in that fraction, 32 divided by 41. And it gives you the answer, 51.3. So we got X is 51.3. And now that we know this angle and we know that's 90, we could actually subtract 180 minus 90 minus the angle that we found. And we get 38.7. If you don't remember that, you could still look at it from Y and say this is adjacent and hypotenuse and do this same process with a cosine. So it's going to be the inverse cosine.